trying to get sober. Lord, help me get stronger. Word is on my shoulder.
How are you doing today? This is the 12 of 12 podcast, the podcast about redemption, recovery, growth and development, because that's what this is about. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do us a favor, tap the subscribe button and share for more. Also, we are sponsored by First Step Recovery. If you need help with substance abuse disorder, severe mental illness, please don't hesitate to contact us today. We are here to help. You see the numbers across the top. Don't hesitate, don't wait to contact them. We have a special guest today, Steve from Way FM 104.3. How are you doing today, brother?
Hey, I'm good. It's great to be here. Love what you guys do with First Steps. Pretty awesome.
I definitely appreciate it, man. Steve's been doing a lot of great things with the Christian broadcast. You've been DJing for how long now, though?
Oh, about 46 years. All my life, yeah.
That's a long time. It takes a lot of passion. You got to have a passion for it.
Yep. No doubt.
When is the first time you started getting into actually DJing?
You know, it's funny because when I first, I was a kid, my parents bought me this little radio and I listened to it all the time because I love music, but I figured out that what I really liked was to listen to what the guys were doing between the songs. And so I fell in love with the whole idea of being on the radio and loved rock music. And so I wanted to be a rock and roll disc jockey. That was my goal in life. And so I did a little bit of radio and, you know, a couple of things happened when I was a teenager that I think really almost changed the course of my life in a bad way. And that's when I was 15, my church went through a big split. It was an ugly fight. And the church closed. Wow. And I left church at 15 and said, well, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done with church if these the way these people are going to be. And so I got rung in with the wrong people and did stupid stuff. And then at about 17, some friends in high school suggested that I come to their church. So I did. And I thought, well, look, okay, we're good. Maybe I get back on track here. They started fighting over the softball team, over who got to play and who didn't. And if you weren't the son of the choir director, you didn't get to play. And it turned into this just ugly fighting again. And I looked around and I went, these Christians are all the same, man. This is just like the church split 2 years ago. I'm out of here. And I left church again, and I was determined I'm not going back. I don't want anything to do with God. I don't believe this stuff is just crazy. I'm done. And I was still pursuing my radio career, but I was working at a grocery store, just trying to pay the bills, you know, with a couple of guys. And one of the guys was in a rock band, and he was a drug dealer, and he partied a lot, and I liked to go party with him. And then the other guy, he and his wife were musicians, and they did Christian music, and I would go with them, and they'd do these little concerts. And so I'm at church with one guy, I'm at a party with the other guy. I'm really all over the place because I don't know what I want. I really was searching. I didn't know at the time. There's a song out now that it says, the whole time I was looking for you. I didn't even know it, but I was looking for you. I was looking for God and I didn't know it. And so fast forward, we're working at this grocery store. We're in a back room, just the three of us all day long, 10 hours a day. And so I can't really escape these guys. And the Christian came in one day and he said, the Christian radio station is looking for an announcer. You should apply for the job. I said, first words out of my mouth, I don't want to work for a religious radio station. No thanks. Because really I thought religious music was in a hymn book, and I'd heard all that and I didn't want any part of it. You know, it's like, that's not rock and roll. I don't want that. And so I told him no thanks. Well, he asked me over and over. And for 3 days, he just continued to ask me, are you going to send him a resume? Are you going to send him back then we sent him air checks on a tape, a demo tape. And She
Oh yeah,
goes,
that was bad. That was back. Hold on, what year was this?
in 1983. So yeah, a little while back.
Yeah, that was a good minute ago.
Yeah. So you put your demo on a cassette tape. Now you would just email them a file, but at that point it was on a cassette. And so I had done my little rock and roll tape. This was my demo tape to look for a job. And after 3 days of him just harassing me about this, I finally said, look, if I send them a tape and a resume, will you just shut up? And he said, sure. He didn't say anything else. So I thought, I'll send them this tape, they'll hate it, and we'll be done with this, and we can move on to something else.
You really didn't really feel like getting involved in it because it was basically a Christian station. You was like, you know what? You are so many Christians, you done been around so much, it just basically ran you away from having to do with anything with Christianity.
Yeah.
And you was like, I don't even want to deal with this.
Right. I did not want the job. I didn't want to fool with it. I couldn't imagine being in what I kept calling a religious radio station. None of that made sense to me. But I sent him my tape, and I was sure they'd hate it. So I figure, well, at least if he comes back and asks me about it, I can go, hey, I did what you asked me to do. I sent him the tape. And so you might kind of guess where the story's going. They called me, and I got the job. And so the night before I was going to go on the air, they had me come in and do a demo for them. And basically we had a production room where they did commercials that was the same as the on-air studio. And so another throwback to the 80s, we recorded things on reel-to-reel tapes instead of into a computer. But
you had to put in real work back then, people.
Yes,
real
that's
work.
right. That's right.
It wasn't just that easy. No AIs and things like that. Real work.
Nothing automated. It was all manual. But I loaded up my tape, and I went in the studio and grabbed a bunch of records. I didn't know any of these. I didn't know Christian music at all. I had no idea what I was doing. I just grabbed some records and went to do my demo. And I had kind of gone from I don't want to be here to I'm a hot shot and I'm going to show them how it's done, right? So I'm all cocky, and I go in there and I start to do my little demo, and nothing works. I keep making mistakes. It's just disaster. So you have to erase the tape. Old school again. You got to erase the tape. You got to start over. And I was in the studio for probably 2 hours, and I couldn't get the tape done. I just couldn't do it. And so I called my program director. I met this guy twice before. His name was Bob, and I called Bob, and I said, Bob, I'm kind of concerned. I'm not sure I can do this job, and I'm going to let you down. And I was going to be working the overnight shift, which meant I would be the only guy in the station. So if I messed up, there's nobody to rescue me, right? And so I said, I don't know if I can do this. And so he asked me a question. He says, are you trying to do it yourself, or are you asking God to do it through you? And my first thought, because of the things I'd been through in the churches and whatnot, I'd thought, these arrogant Christians, man, these guys, they're all alike. And I said, I'm trying to do it myself. What do you think? And I'm sure the way I said that didn't hit him real well. And he said, well, I think that's your problem. And he hung up the phone.
Dang.
So now I'm standing in the studio. I'm the only person in the building, and I'm holding a dead phone. Like, what do I do now? I'm kind of stuck. And so I hung up the phone. I sat there for a minute, and I thought, well, he's probably right. If I don't ask God for help, I've already proven I can't do this. He's not going to help me. There's nobody else to help me. I guess my only option is ask God for help. Yeah. And so,
you right into the
sometimes that's just how God has to do it. I'd run and run and run, and now he had me in a corner. I didn't have any options.
That's funny.
So I sat there and I thought, well, let's see. So I should pray. When's the last time I prayed? I don't have any idea. Man, I don't remember. I don't know.
Wow. Been that long, huh?
Yeah, it had been a long time. And I thought, well, like I said, I got nothing to lose. So I may as well just stop and ask for help, because I've been too stubborn to try to do it myself, and I can't do it. So I'm going to ask for help.
Listen, people, when you are down and out and nowhere to turn, try prayer.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah.
Listen, you might not have tried it for many years, you might be at the end of your ropes. But like he said, he was at, you feel like you're doing it yourself. Pride is the beginning of the downfall. Don't mean to be preaching to y'all, but it's the beginning of the downfall.
Yep.
And if you don't want to sit down and just humble yourself and just be like, you know what, you can't do it yourself. You tried everything. Look up, God's right there.
Yep.
Something for that.
100%, man. And so I just prayed and I said, God, number one, I don't even know why I'm here because I didn't want to be here. But for some reason you got me here. And so if this is what I'm supposed to do, I obviously can't do it myself and I need your help. And I erased my tape again and I set everything up again. And all of a sudden everything works perfectly. Because you see, God was in control instead of me.
Yep.
And I didn't get it at that moment. I just knew, hey, cool, it's working. That's all I cared about. But I understand now that I had shifted the control from me to God. And when I did that, everything fell into place. And so this stack of records I told you about that I didn't know anything about, well, I promise you it was just this random stack of albums that I didn't know. I didn't know the names of the artists, the songs. Had a list on the front of the record which song to play. That's the only way I even knew what to do. So I start playing these songs, and God just took over in that studio because every song had a message for me in that moment, and every song, one song led to the next one, to the next one. It started with how much God loved me, to how He had forgiven me and how He wanted me to come back to Him and how He wanted me to serve Him. And it was all in the songs. And I couldn't have planned that. I'm smart enough to know that I just grabbed a stack. I couldn't have put that together. No program director in the world could have planned that music that way. Only God could do that, and He did. And music had always been the thing that reached me when nothing else would. And I guess that's why God knew that was the way to get my attention. So through that hour of putting that tape together, I know I talked. I played records and I talked in the microphone. I have no idea what I did. I was so caught up in the spirit that God was just doing it all. I don't know. I'd love to hear the tape. I'd love to know what I did, but
you still don't know to this day. You was just flowing though.
I have no idea, and I'm sure that tape's long gone. But I would love to know. All I know is at the end of that hour, I understood that God loved me. He had forgiven me, and He had a plan for my life. And that was, I'd been wandering for 5 or 6 years by then, just like in the wilderness. I had no direction. And suddenly everything was crystal clear that night that this is God's plan. And at the end of that hour, I found myself in the floor of that studio just begging God to forgive me and thanking Him for opening my eyes and showing me what His plan was, and His plan was better than mine. And that's, man, I don't care what you're dealing with or what decisions you're trying to make. When you finally figure out that God's plan is better than your plan, it changes everything. And it did for me. And suddenly I found myself in the middle of the night on the radio with people calling me at 3 o'clock in the morning because they wanted to commit suicide or they were in some breakup, or they'd lost their job, or their husband or their wife had left them, and all these just terrible stuff happening in people's lives in the middle of the night. And I'm the only guy they can talk to because they found a phone number and called a radio station. And I'm not a counselor. I'm like, God, now what have you done?
God.
You put me in this spot.
I can't control this right now. What's going on?
And so, thank God, there was a little manual in our studio that was like a counseling guide. And so if somebody told you what was going on in their life, you'd look at the little tabs and you'd flip it over, and there's scripture and ways to talk to them about their problems. And so
You went from a DJ to a counselor, just like that.
Just-
you didn't even,
just
you didn't
like
even
that.
expect that. I call that God's divine appointments, and like you said with the CDs, it could be God's organization.
Yeah.
Because God is the God that organizes. You know, nothing's chaotic when it comes to God. It might seem
Right.
like it's chaotic to us, but at the end of the day, God knows what's going to happen. He knows what's going on. So it's like, okay, once take it off of me. Just like so many times in my life, I made so many decisions that was like, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then things just end up bad horribly.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, you know what, God, man, you go ahead and take control of it. And then all of a sudden things start running into place. And then it never
Every
fails.
time.
Every
Yep.
single time some type of pride start coming up inside of my heart.
Yep.
And then I start doing things on my own. I get smacked across the face real quick. And I'm like, dear
Yep.
God, hold on, I can't do this, you do it. And then it starts going back.
Yep.
And then it takes me back to that verse where it says, God resists the proud but shows grace to the humble.
Yep. So true, man. So I had a guy call me one night. He had been stabbed. He'd been in a fight. He'd been stabbed, and he was just trying to find somebody to help. And I had to calm him down enough to get him to call 911 so he could get help. Had another girl that called one night that had decided to end her life, and
Wow.
we stayed on the phone for probably 4 hours that night. I'm still working and doing what I got to do. Hold on a minute, and and I talked her through that, and she turned her life around. She didn't take her life, and it was things like that. There was one guy that called that. He was in a really desperate situation. I worked with him. God used me to work with him, and I would hear from him years later, and he'd call and he'd go, "Hey, my name's Larry. You remember me?" And he'd tell the story, and I'm like, "Yep, I totally remember you." And he said, "Well, I just wanted you to know that I got married. And I'm pastoring a church."
Wow.
and
Wow.
So the power of good, music has so much influence on us, whether it's the raunchiest, worst stuff you could listen to, or the most satanic stuff you could listen to, or the most Christian stuff. Whatever is going into your ears is going into your heart. And music is what reached me, but I realized that it was reaching me in a different way before I found my way back to God. And so if you fast forward, I worked at a Christian station that was really old. The equipment was like antique. And we would go in the mornings, and we would all gather and we would pray, "God, please let this equipment work today, because we want to tell people about you." And somehow it stayed on the air, and we were able to share the gospel and play music. And we started to be successful. And that's where God, it's where the devil will get you and get your eyes off God, because all of a sudden, I'm managing a radio station. I'm still a kid, 25 years old, manage a radio station, and we're making a lot of money. Well, first thing we did is we stopped praying that the equipment would work. And then we stopped praying for God's help. And then we just started thinking how great we were. And my radio station was sold, and just like that, it was over.
Wow.
Went from,
What?
We felt like we were on top of the world, and all of a sudden we don't have a station anymore. That's how, the pride comes before the fall. If
Yeah.
it was ever true, it was true in that moment, and I realized it. I knew it. I knew exactly what had happened, that we had took our eyes off Jesus, and we put our eyes on ourselves, and God didn't honor it. He didn't continue to bless it, because we were not doing it for Him anymore, and it all ended. And so I worked at a lot of radio stations, and what I found is that the more I learned, the more successful I became, and the more I got opportunities to move up the ladder. And now all of a sudden I'm chasing job titles and big salaries, and where can I make the most money. And it suddenly wasn't about God anymore. I had forgotten about that encounter that I had with him in that studio. Now it's just about the money. And, you know, I would get a job, I'd be making a lot of money, everything would look great, and inevitably in the radio business, they either change the format of the station, or a new guy comes in and fires everybody, or they sell the station. You know, it's not a stable work environment.
Okay.
And so one thing after another would happen, and every time I'd hit the top, I'd hit the bottom again, and you know, so it was just up and down. But the whole time I kept thinking, I got this. I'll figure this out. And like I said, man, I just forgot what.
Oh man,
I
you
just
said
forgot.
something powerful just then. You was the I thing. Like,
Yep.
hey, I could do this. I could do this. And before it was, hey, God, won't you do this? Won't you do that for me? Please help this. And then once the I came, God pulled that rug from under.
Yep.
Always happens.
So I wound up at the beach, running radio stations at the beach. I thought this was the dream job, right? You live at the beach, you know, life is great. Well, what it was just a big party. And all of a sudden I'm surrounded by all the people that I had tried to get away from all those years before.
Right back in
And
your face.
I'm back in that environment. And we had a big problem with alcoholism. A lot of our employees were alcoholics, and you couldn't get people to work, and people did crazy stuff, and there was always drama. It's just chaos because, you know, everybody's living in this, what's a make-believe world, you know. It's not even real. And just crazy stuff was constantly happening. And it finally came to a head that the number one client we had 4 radio stations. The number one client was a bar at the beach. And we would do a live broadcast on the weekends from the bar. And I'm at home listening one night, and the guy had doing the broadcast was drunk, and there were some military guys from the base there, and he started picking at them during the breaks.
Oh yeah,
And
he was asking for it right there.
Yeah,
He definitely
yeah.
asked for it. Those guys be ready to go.
That's right. And I could just feel it. And I looked at my wife and I said, he's going to get killed. And we're going to lose the number one advertiser on our radio station. And then I'm going to lose my job. I got to do something about this. And so we took him off that broadcast and let him do it anymore. So I had one guy that could fill in for him. Now, when I first hired that guy, he said to me, the one thing you need to know about me is I'm a Christian, and I don't do bar remotes. I'm done with that. I'm not doing that anymore. We hired him under the condition that he wouldn't do bar remotes. Well, now I need him to do this remote, right? And so I call him in my office and I said, man, I know what you told me, but, you know, the other guy can't do this. I need you to do this remote. And his faith was strong. I applaud him for it. He stood right there and he said, you'll just have to fire me because I told you I wasn't going to get into that. I'm not doing it. And
Wow.
you know,
He definitely believed. He walked the walk and talk and
Yeah.
walk the walk.
Yeah.
He definitely believed.
yes, he did. And he was willing to sacrifice his job to do what he knew was right.
Wow.
And I sat back. I couldn't argue with that because there was enough of God still back in there that I had pushed out of the way that I knew he was right. So then if you're the manager, that's where the buck stops, right? So somebody's got to do this broadcast. So I'm the only one left really that could do it. So I go do it. And they had to lock us in this booth up above all the people because if you weren't locked in, people would come up in the booth and, you know, the crazy that was going on down there would be going on up in your broadcast
You
booth.
imagine you have all type of people hanging out trying to get on the DJ mic with you.
Yeah. So I'm up here by myself in this booth, and I'm delivering the message that the drinks are cheap and the women are cheap and you guys need to be here, and it was just, the music was X-rated, and you know, we're just in the pit, man. And again, I'm just looking at it like I'm just doing my job.
Yeah.
I've tried to push out the thoughts that this was bad. I'm just doing my job. And if you remember back in 1983, when I told you the story about God coming to me in that studio that very first night when I knew I was called to do radio for Him, I felt His presence again for so only the 2 times in my life that I experienced that, but I felt Him again, like He was standing in that little booth next to me. And the words I heard were, "What do you think you're doing? Is this what I called you to do?" And of course, out loud I went, "Nope." No, I know it's not. And, I was so convicted. It's like it all really crashed in again, that you're not serving God. You've gone off to do your own thing, and look where you are. And for those at the beginning, it was like, this is the coolest thing. Now I'm the DJ in the biggest club on the beach. I'm the stuff. And then God said, "What are you doing?"
Wow.
And so I wound up I quit I found somebody else to do the remote. I quit doing the bar gig, but I ended up losing that job, and I was struggling to figure out what I was going to do next, and God had really gotten a hold of me that night, and I just started praying. I'm done with this business. I don't like the stuff I've had to do to make a living. I don't like this. I don't want to be part of this anymore. And I realized that was the way that was the craft that I had. That's how I knew how to make a living. But I didn't want to do it. And so I realized, God, if I could just do this for you, I enjoyed that. I knew I was doing the right thing, and I knew I was doing a good thing. And if I could just go back and do that. And so I started praying that, if I'm going to have to stay in this business, can I please do it for you?
Wow.
And He opened up when I started those prayers pretty quickly, He opened a door back at a Christian radio station.
Wow.
And it's funny how, you can fight it and fight it and fight it, but when you finally give in and say, "God, I need you," He's always there. He just always is. And He answered that prayer, and I got back to doing what I do, and to this day, I pray that I never go back down that road again.
Yeah.
But life is so much better when you do it God's way. I've tried it both ways, and it doesn't matter if it's if it's drugs or alcohol or gambling or women or just pride. I mean, it's all just whatever it is that separates you from God. You can get so caught up in so many things. And man, if you just turn around and go, "I've had enough. I'm done with this. God, show me a different way," I promise you He will. And life hasn't always been perfect. I've had financial struggles. I've had struggles with depression here and there. There've been some tough things. Loss of family members. Life's not roses. But I know when I get up in the morning, I know who I'm doing what I'm doing for, and I know my trust is in Him, and I know that regardless of what I face, He's going to see me through it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have it any other way, and I don't know why it took me so long to figure that out.
Wow.
So there's a song. There's a guy that we play on the radio. He's actually a recovering addict, or a recovered addict, and his name is Zach Williams. But a lot of his songs are about his struggles and his finding God and his recovery. And one of the songs, he says, I can't call it up, but it's all the things he did wrong, the empty pursuits, all the mistakes that he made. he says, I realize now, I didn't know it then, but I see it now. I was looking for you. And so that's my message. And the reason I wanted to come and talk to you today is if you are going through the empty pursuits and the mistakes and the stupid things, and you get up in the morning and you go, why in God's name did I do that last night? And you know, if you're there, you're looking for God. That's what you're looking for, whether you know it or not, because He's the only answer. Mm-hmm. And it's not the next fix or the next whatever. It's God. Yeah. And until you figure that out, you know, you just keep getting up doing the same stupid stuff every day and hating yourself every night. And every morning you wake up and you're just a little more defeated, and you know, and it's like He's the answer.
He definitely is. And I thanks for you coming in and telling your story. And just to touch on one or two things is just that, you know, you have so many actors and so many people who are successful in life, and then you hear about them taking their own life. You hear about them overdosing on drugs. So many people. And it's just showing you right there that, you know, people, money isn't going to make you, it's a facade. A lot of people put on act for social medias. A lot of people put on act for the cameras. And then they go home and cry themselves to sleep and pump themselves with drugs and alcohol, you know, or different women who meaninglessness. You know, you have somebody who has everything, but in the word it says, you know, what does it profit to have everything but lose your soul?
Yeah.
It doesn't profit to lose your soul, people.
No.
You know, your living, breathing soul, man, it's better to give back to people. It's better to do these type of things. You don't need any type of false crutches, you know, chasing money. No, chase God, and God's gonna be right there. Seeking ye shall find, you know. So once you start seeking the truth, and the great thing that you said in your story was, you know what, the times that you were praying, the times that you were seeking, you know, that emptiness, you know, you were looking for God. But God, He's not gonna forget about you. If you sit there and you humbly pray, and you be like, you know what do you want me to do? Can I do this for you? He'll open up that door for you. Yeah. So some of you out there, you might even be in a situation that you might be going through certain things at your job, or whatever you're doing that might not be, you know is morally going wrong. You know you shouldn't be doing what you shouldn't be doing, and it's tearing you apart inside. You're doing things in secret. What's in the secret tearing you up inside. If you're doing these things, you got a decision to make. You know, you got a moral decision to make. You know, give it to God, let it go, because you're not happy. So why continue doing that? We got one life to live. What is your purpose in life? You know, he found his purpose. I found my purpose. And whatever the gift is that God planted inside of you, use it for Him. He's gonna expand it to touch many lives, to touch many souls. I like how you said that. You know, you went into DJ and you didn't expect this. You know, wanted to be about music, then you ended up counseling people, actually saving people's lives. Saving people's lives. You know, you probably don't even know to this day until you make it to heaven how many lives you actually touched and actually saved, and help get saved. You know, and that's the same thing with you people. You don't know how many people's lives that God is ready for you to actually make those moves and start affecting those lives and start planting those seeds. Yeah. Because it could be 2-3 years down the line, you could talk to somebody and that one word you gave them, that one speech you gave them, they might not hear it now, but they might 2 or 3 weeks down the road, 2 or 3 years down the road, you know? Yeah. You just never know, man. Just don't give up, and remember that God has a purpose and plan for your life.
Yes, He does.
And if there's anything else you want to say to the people, Steve?
I just, I can't emphasize enough how letting go of the stuff that makes you miserable and just hand it to God. It's like, I don't even know how to hand this to you, God, but here it is, and help me figure out how to get rid of this, because it's bad for me. And how can I turn this around through you? It's just, I need you. I need you, God. That's it. And I just pray that anybody that's hearing this, whether you may have been through a whole lot worse than me, and I get that, I mean, there's a whole lot of folks who've been through a lot of worse stuff than I have. But no matter where you are or what you're dealing with, the answer's the same. From stubbing your toe to being guilty of murder, it's the same. You made a mistake. God will forgive you. And when you turn it over to Him, He'll change your life. That's it.
Amen, brother. We love you all. We thank you for tuning in, and just remember, put God first, and things will work out. Stay strong. Thank you all. Have a blessed day.